Hi, my name is Trevor Morgan and I am the Vice President of Triple Cities Metal Finishing Corporation. Welcome to our company and I look forward to working with you in the future. Before you get started here at TCMF, I would like to walk you through a brief training on our company and our policies. Before we get started on training, let me tell you a little bit about TCMF. We were established in 1945 and have been growing and improving our quality system ever since. We started out as two entities, one in Elmira, New York and the other in Hillcrest, New York, and in 1999 combined into our current facility in Kirkwood. At the time, we only utilized about half of our 125,000 square foot building, and today we have the entire facility just about full. We first became ISO certified in 1994, graduated to NADCAP approval in 2007, and expect to become certified in AS 9100 in early 2018. One of our biggest strengths are our wide range of finishes and capabilities. Most of our finishes are listed on this slide, but they are ever changing. Our largest volume finishes are anodized, chem film, electroless nickel, powder coat, zinc, and zinc nickel. Our finishes offered at TCMF help improve quality of life. For instance, these new technologies are the reason you will notice much less rust on vehicles than you did years ago, while the chemicals used to produce this finish are more environmentally friendly than before. At TCMF, our number one priority is our employee safety. These next few slides are dedicated to help you learn a little more about our chemicals, labeling, and safety practices. At TCMF, we use the most cutting-edge, environmentally friendly, and safe chemistries as possible. However, we still have hazardous chemicals in our facility that need to be respected and handled with care. We have a safety committee, and if you would like to join, please see your manager to be put on a list to be considered as spaces open up. One of the things we do in order to ensure a safe working environment is that we have yearly air quality and noise testing completed by the New York State Department of Labor. Every time we have had this test, it has proven that no hearing protection or respirators are required, as even our employees in the harshest jobs in the building are well below what OSHA has deemed as safe exposure limits. If you ever have a concern regarding safety, please reach out to our Health and Safety Manager, Lori Kelly. She is available 24 hours a day in case of an emergency on her cell phone, but asks that all non-emergencies be addressed between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. Please take the time to note her cell phone number in case of an emergency. If you do have a safety concern, you should bring that concern to both your supervisor and either the Health and Safety Manager or myself. If an accident does occur, you are required to fill out an accident report immediately and notify your supervisor. These reports are located in the lab and the shipping office and can be accessed at any time during the hours of operation. All chemicals in our building are labeled either by our suppliers before they arrive or by our lab under the direction of Dr. Patrick Lutz. If you ever come across chemicals that do not have a label on them, please immediately notify your manager. These labels, as seen in our next slide, will give you the information you need before handling the chemicals. The label you will find in our chemicals in production will look like the label on the left side of your screen. This label will tell you the severity of the fire hazard, health hazard, and reactivity of the chemical, with a 4 being the most hazardous and 0 being a minimal hazard. At the bottom, it will also give you a reference letter for personal protective equipment, or PPE. This letter will correspond to the chart at the right. A copy of this chart is also kept in the cafeteria and in the lab for future reference. If you ever have any questions about the chemicals you are near, you are welcome to ask Dr. Patrick Lutz, our Chemical Process Manager. We also have safety data sheets, also referred to as SDSs, for every chemical in our facility that will provide any safety information that you would need. They are alphabetized in red binders on the left-hand side just as you enter our lab. If we ever have an emergency, it is important for you to know where to meet so we can complete a roll call and ensure everyone has made it out of the facility safely. The first step is to leave the building through the nearest safe exit and make your way to your emergency gathering area. If you are working for our paint, powder coat, or e-coat departments, you will meet in the east side of the property in the tractor trailer turnaround area. If you are working on the plating side of the facility, you will meet in the back employee parking lot on the west side of the building. Once in this area, do not leave until instructed to do so by a member of the TCMF emergency response team. The next two slides are in reference to our employee expectations handout that you should have received. I will not go through everything in the handout, but wanted to touch on some of the major points. You must wear full-length pants, closed-toe shoes, and a shirt with either short or long sleeves, as sleeveless shirts are not permitted. If you are later granted special permission to wear shorts to work, you are required to have long pants with you, as if you need to be moved to another area of the facility where long pants are required, you must be able to move to that area. Any additional PPE required will be provided by TCMF. If you are calling into work, you must call our call-in line, which is also our emergency line, at 607-771-6045. This number can be found on red papers in our cafeteria if it is ever lost, and should only be used for call-ins and given to your family members in case of an emergency at home. This is going to be the fastest way for your loved ones to get a hold of you if, God forbid, an emergency does happen, as cellular phones are not allowed in our production areas of the facility. As far as vacation is concerned, we do understand there are times when you have very little notice that you need time off. However, we ask that a minimum of 3 days notice is given for a day off and at least 2 weeks notice is given in order to get consecutive days off. This allows us to plan for your absence and ensure that we do not make customer promises that we cannot keep due to employees missing work. Please ensure that you are wearing proper PPE. This is the last area where you should ever cut corners, and we expect you to always take the time to put on your proper personal protective equipment before completing any task or handling anything that requires PPE, no matter how quick the task. As I referenced in the previous slide, due to customer restrictions on some parts we are now finishing, we cannot have non-employer provided cell phones in any production areas. We have lockers in the cafeteria and will provide locks for those to keep personal items, including cellular phones. Cell phones can only be used in break areas and in the parking lot during designated break times. We are currently providing 2 paid 10-minute breaks, but reserve the right to take away those breaks if these expectations are not met, especially the cell phone usage and not trying to use the restroom and get drinks during your designated break periods. Ethical treatment of coworkers is expected, and if you have any issues or need to talk to someone, contact your manager and/or myself to discuss. Other items from this employee expectation sheet that I would like to point out are to keep your area clean and practice safe lifting. We also expect you to not be under the influence of alcohol or drugs while at work, hungover at work, or use illegal drugs outside of work. With regard to tobacco use, please keep our tobacco use area neat and only use tobacco in the designated area outside. If everyone meets these employee expectations, it will help us be able to pay our employees more and ensure that all employees are working together to make TCMF a better company. Remember, use common sense. If something doesn't seem or look right, please ask. Our standard shift times are listed on this page. You will see that there is a 30-minute overlap between shifts. This time is to be spent completing tie-off and telling the oncoming shift about any issues, as well as go over the schedule that is being followed. It will also include the oncoming shift taking over the production and the employees that are getting ready to leave cleaning up their work area. All employees are expected to work through the end of the shift and not to start packing up and preparing to leave until their shift has ended and the employee has clocked out. We ask that all employees clock out for breaks, whether they are paid or unpaid, and employees are required to clock in and out at the time clock closest to their line. Paid breaks will be added back to your time as long as they are under the time allotted for the break. This includes an additional 2-minute grace period to get to and from the break area and get clocked in and out at your line. Again, as I referenced at the beginning of this training, our quality system has been improving and adding additional certifications over the years. We are already ISO 9001:2015 certified, NADCAP certified, and are expected to receive our AS9100 certification in early 2018. This is on top of the numerous customer certifications that we have already received. Part of the requirements of AS9100 is that our employees are required to know our quality policy. Our quality policy states that TCMF is committed to meeting customer satisfaction by achieving customer requirements and exceeding expectations. This is done through compliance with and the continuous improvement of the effectiveness of the quality management system. Quality objectives and this policy are established by management, reviewed for continuing suitability, and communicated and understood within the organization toward that end. As our employees, you are not required to have this entire statement memorized, but should be able to answer that our quality policy is to make our customers satisfied. This policy will be posted on the production floor on a banner above the bathrooms, on the plating side of our facility, and on the wall on the paint side of the facility. As with any question an auditor asks you, If you cannot remember the answer or simply don't know an answer, you may tell them that you don't know, but that you know where to get the answer. In that instance, you can either go to a manager or show them one of these banners. Our quality system has a few points of emphasis that I want to make sure that you're aware of. The first of which is with regards to paperwork. If you have ever have any paperwork with conflicting information or notice that our internal paperwork does not match the customer's PO, stop all processing on that job as soon as possible without damaging the parts and get a manager. We must also ensure that paperwork is filled out completely. If anything is not filled out that is in an earlier step, immediately get your manager so they can figure out what happened and get the paperwork corrected. Understand that if you are not sure about something, you should stop and get more information before proceeding. If a mistake happens, we realize that things happen and it is okay. Hiding an issue only makes the situation worse, so please get your manager immediately. Product safety is imperative at TCMF. All products shall be handled with care and with safety in mind. Please do not double stack pallets unless they are designed to do so or there is instructions to double stack the pallets on the job card. Treat all parts as if they were your own. You wouldn't want to buy a part from a store if it was damaged or defective, and our customers do not want to either. If you have any questions on product safety or proper handling of materials, please contact your manager. On the right side of this slide, you will see a startup sheet. This sheet needs to be filled out at the beginning of every shift by our operators. Please be sure if you are ever responsible for filling out this sheet that you do so accurately, as it is very important that if anything is out of range, management is notified immediately. Be aware that one process tank being out of temperature can cause rework. A rework job will generally cost us at least 3 times the cost of running the part through with no rework. So it is always better to take the required time and follow our procedures and processes. Again, one of the most important things in our quality system is to ensure that all job cards are filled out entirely. The absolute most important thing is that you never process any part without a job card, no matter what the situation. Let me start by showing you where to find information on the job card. Right in this section here, you will see the customer name. Right here, you will see the due date of the part. Over here is the order number, which your manager will reference if he's asking you about a job. Right in this section here is the quantity of the order, and here is the part number, description, which may also include process instructions like color and thickness. Right here is the piece weight, and in this section here is the order weight. Right here you will see the dimensions of a part, and down here is the picture. If any of this information does not match the job that you're working on, please see your manager immediately and the order needs to be placed on hold. Right in this section, you will find the process ID, which gives you the process that is going to be ran on the job. It may also tell you a thickness or a color. And right here, you will see inspection requirements, which again may include a thickness, or it may also be a visual inspection requirement. Down in this section, you will find the process steps. If you are working on a process step and the process before your step is not filled out entirely, please see your manager, and the manager can get the job fixed and updated. That way there's no missing information. Under the contract review or a special instruction step, you will find a lot of process notes that you should always take note of. And please make sure to always read the job card in full and ensure that there are no special process instructions missed. Again, if you see any conflicting information, please put the job on hold and ask a manager for help immediately. An example of this is if the instructions, it states that the part should be a thickness of 1/10 of a mil to 3/10 of a mil up in this section here. And in the inspection requirements, it states the part should be 2/10 of a mil minimum, which would be right here. This would signify that the job needs to be put on hold and engineering needs to get involved. One of the first jobs you will probably start with will be racking and packaging parts. It is important to understand a few basic things before starting. When racking, please make sure to ask your line leader operator questions. Understand that these people generally did your job before they were given their current position. If we are racking a part and not doing bulk processing, the customer generally wants their parts handled with care. If a part is dropped, make sure you give the part to a manager and let them know. As we are finishing parts that go on airplanes, we need to make sure that these parts are put aside and additional testing is done on them to ensure there is no underlying damage that cannot be seen with the naked eye. Also, find out about your department and what is required. We have some departments that require a part to be scraped against a rack, and other departments that if you scrape a part against a rack, we will destroy the part. It is extremely important that you know what is expected and how and why you are racking. As far as packing goes, it is general TCMF policy that we package parts the way they come in. That being said, it is also not always the case. Please again make sure to check the job card and ensure that alternate packaging instructions are not listed there. If parts are rack plated, assume there should be no part-to-part contact or it will be listed on the job card. This is also not the case in our electroless nickel department where you can assume part-to-part contact is okay unless stated otherwise on a job card. Also, if you see on a job card that part is getting sent out via UPS or another common carrier, we need to pay extra attention to packaging, and if you see loose parts in a box not tightly packed, it needs to be addressed. Again, use your common sense and ask a manager if you have any questions. Overpacking can be just as bad as underpacking for both us and our customers as well. So if unsure, please ask. Listed on this slide is contact information for our managers. I would recommend quickly noting your manager's information. You can get this information once you report from your manager as well. Again, this information is not to be used for call-ins, as those need to be handled through our call-in and emergency line at 607-771-6045. Thank you again for your time. Please take the time to sign the training document and a copy of your employee expectations sheet and turn them in before getting started. We look forward to meeting you and growing together. Have a great day.